Chapter 43. The next morning JV was in the main house, making breakfast for Rebecca and herself. "Are you going with us tonight?" Rebecca asked. JV frowned. "Going where?" "The river walk." "What's that?" "It's a trail along the Little Colorado. This time of year they string it with lights and open it up at night. It's beautiful." "I don't know. Steve hasn't said anything about it." JV was uncertain. "Ask him. We go as a group, it's a lot of fun." "Who all goes?" "Nick and I, Steve usually goes with us, and we meet the Roberts. We walk through as a group, sipping hot cocoa and visiting with whoever we run into." JV was glad to see her friend so animated. She'd been so tired lately or sick that JV had worried about her. She hoped Steve would agree to go tonight. It would be great to go out with everyone, and a chance to meet more of the clan. "Can you hear me?" She wasn't sure he'd be able to hear her from so far away. Not that she knew exactly where he was, just that he was helping feed cattle. "Of course I can. Is something wrong?" His mental voice was strong as it whispered through her mind. "No, nothing's wrong, she had second thoughts about asking, maybe he hadn't invited her for a reason." "Never mind." "Jade." He sounded worried. "Rebecca asked if we can go with them to something called the River Walk tonight. Do you want to go?" "It sounds like it could be fun," she said hesitantly. "If you want to, of course we can go." "Rebecca said you usually go, but you hadn't said anything," she said. "I've had other things on my mind, baby. I didn't realize it was tonight, or I would have. I do normally go, but if you want to go, I'll have Bobby to go with them, and we can go too." "Why does Bobby need to go?" "Someone has to serve as bodyguard. I'll be busy enjoying the night with you." She smiled even though he couldn't see her. "That sounds wonderful. You'll need to dress warm. We'll be out in the cold a lot longer than just to and from the truck tonight." "Will do. I can't wait." She knew he sensed her excitement when he sent back a mental laugh. "He says we can go," she said to Rebecca. Rebecca squealed. "This is great. We're gonna have to find you something warm to wear." Steve said dress warm. "I figured I'd wear yoga pants under my jeans and a heavy sweater." "Keep the heavy sweater, but I've got something better than yoga pants." Rebecca looked JV over from top to bottom, as if estimating her size. "You're a little shorter than I am, but I think that'll be to your advantage." JV didn't say anything, just looked at her friend for a moment, then flipped the pancakes on the griddle and checked on the bacon that was nearly done in the oven. After breakfast, Rebecca dragged JV into her bedroom and started digging through drawers. "I know they're here somewhere." She moved from the dresser to the large closet and started looking through the small boxes stacked over the rack. "I just don't remember where I put them last spring. Is there anything I can do to help?" JV was uncomfortable standing in the middle of the bedroom, watching her go through things. "They should be, she interrupted herself. "I knew they were here." She pulled a blue and white flowered box, about the size of a shoebox, from the shelf, and went to the bed. "Here," she tossed the lid in the middle of the bed, "put these on under your jeans and sweater." She pulled a thin pink shirt and pants from the box and handed them to JV. "They'll keep you a lot warmer than yoga pants, or even 2 sweaters." JV held the almost weightless outfit in her hand, rubbing it between her fingers and thumb. "What is it?" "Thermal underwear, it's silk." Rebecca pulled a second set, black this time, from the box and tossed them on the bed. "Silk?" "Yep. Do you have clean wool socks?" No, but I was planning to steal some of Steve's, he's got several pair. That works? I can't take these. JV held up the thermal underwear. How will you stay warm? I've got another set I'll wear tonight, but I won't be going out as much this winter. I won't be able to wear them much longer anyway. I'll feel better knowing you have them. Take them. She looked down at the things in her hand, then back up at Rebecca. Are you sure? The other woman smiled. Positive. All right. What else do we need to do? Are we going to take anything with us? The chairs and blankets are already in the truck, and they'll have cocoa and a fire there, we just show up. Nice. It is. It will be better if I can find a pair of pants that fits. Yeah, right. You're not even showing yet. I may not be showing, but my pants don't fit either. She lifted the tail of the long t-shirt she was wearing to reveal that her pants were unbuttoned and only half-zipped. Wow, that didn't take long. JV sat on the bed and watched while Rebecca tried on several pair of pants before finding a pair she could zip, but they still wouldn't button. Do you have any rubber bands? JV asked, suddenly remembering something. Yeah, Rebecca frowned. Of course. Where are they? I want to try something. On the counter, in a dish. She motioned to the attached bathroom. JV retrieved a rubber band and went to her friend. Let's try this. She threaded the hair tie through the buttonhole on one side of the jeans, then looped it through itself. Now, slip this end over the button. Rebecca easily slipped the elastic over the button, closing her jeans without cutting off her ability to breathe. You're a genius, she said, grinning. You just kept me from having to wear sweats tonight. JV returned the smile, happy she'd remembered the trick Matt's late wife Claire had shown her. She hadn't known her sister-in-law well, but she knew Matt still hurt from her death, as well as the loss of the baby she'd carried. That afternoon Nick, Rebecca and Bobby took Nick's truck, while Steve and JV followed in Steve's. There's not enough room in that one for all of us, Steve said when JV had asked why they didn't all go together. Especially not with the blankets and chairs. Rebecca mentioned blankets and chairs, but if this is a walk, why will we need blankets and chairs? Jade asked, confused. For the parade. Didn't she tell you? She didn't say anything about a parade, just the walk. The parade is before the walk. We'll find a good spot, wait for it to get dark and watch the parade. Then we'll all ride one of the buses to the river walk. Dark. JV was even more confused now. They wait until after dark to start the parade? Steve chuckled. It's a light parade, babe. Oh. She didn't know what to say. She'd heard of light parades but had never seen one. She fell quiet as they reached the highway and turned toward town. They parked in the vacant lot beside Sonic and found an empty spot along the sidewalk, where their backs would be to the open field to set up their chairs. Bobby stayed with JV and Rebecca, while Steve and Nick went to find hot drinks for them, while they waited for the parade to start. People passed by on their way to find their own spots, many stopping to chat for a while. Hello, ma'am. How are you tonight? Tiffany asked Rebecca as she made her way past the group, totally ignoring JV. I'm good, Rebecca shook her hand. Have you met my friend JV? We met last night. JV smiled, trying to be friendly despite the previous confrontation. Tiffany shot her a disgusted look and turned back to Rebecca. I hear congratulations are in order. Thank you. Rebecca was gracious, but she didn't try to extend the conversation. Tiffany took the hint and continued down the sidewalk to find her own spot to watch the parade. As soon as she was gone, Rebecca turned to JV. What happened last night? She made a scene in the restaurant, accused me of trying to steal her man. JV scoffed. If he were really hers, I couldn't steal him. Anyway, she dragged me out of my chair, and I knocked the wind out of her. Steve talked to her a minute and she left. She dismissed the incident with ease. What did Steve say to her? Rebecca looked in the direction the woman had gone, but she was out of sight. I don't recall, but it looks like she's gonna try to ignore me now. Works for me. Seriously though, it might be a good idea to watch your back, Rebecca said. I will, but as things stand right now, what opportunity does she have to cause trouble? I spend most of my time with you or Steve. I don't think she's gonna pull anything in front of either of you. You're probably right, but be careful. I will, but I'm not gonna let some vindictive bitch ruin my night. Steve came beside her. What vindictive bitch? He asked, handing her a cup of hot cocoa. Nick handed Rebecca a paper cup of her own. Tiffany. He scowled. What did she do now? Nothing. She sipped her cocoa and closed her eyes, enjoying the warmth filling her. She stopped on her way to find someone to watch with, Rebecca put in. I tried to introduce her to JV, but JV said they'd met. Tiff ignored her, acted like I didn't even mention her. Steve rolled his eyes. She knows what'll happen if she screws with Jade. Rebecca waited as if hoping he would explain, but he didn't. You all right? He asked JV instead. Yeah, I'm good. She took another sip of the cocoa and looked up at him. What's in this? It's good, but it's different. I added some Baileys to it. It makes it better. That it does. She took another sip. Steve went to stand beside Bobby and Nick. The three of them spoke in low voices as the Roberts arrived. Karen and Izzy set up chairs and joined the girls while Julio moved toward the men. No Ricky tonight? Rebecca asked, as Karen settled her blanket over her lap. No. He's watching with some friends. We don't need a bunch of rowdy teenagers here with us, so I didn't encourage them to join us. Thank you for that, JV said. Karen smiled in return. We may see him later. He's taking his girlfriend to the Riverwalk. We may run into them, but I wouldn't count on it. Hey hun, I see you found him, an older woman said as she approached. It took JV a second to remember her name. Hello Liz. I did. Thanks again for giving me directions. I've been meaning to come in and say hi, but the one day I had time, you weren't there. Must have been my day off. She looked past the women and focused on the group of men still talking behind them. Steve? Yes, ma'am? Stop hiding your girl on that ranch and bring her to see me once in a while, ya hear? Yes, ma'am. JV heard the respect in his tone, not the same respect he had for Steve or Julio, as his clan leaders, but the same respect she'd been taught to show her parents, friends and grandparents. It made her re-evaluate Liz's age. There, now you'll come see me. She grinned at JV and moved on, stopping a moment to talk to Karen before continuing. Rebecca leaned close. When did you meet Liz? When I got to town, she's the one who told me how to find him. Huh. Rebecca's confusion written on her face. I knew he lived in the area, but not exactly where. She gave me directions to the ranch. Rebecca shook her head. I can't believe you drove for 2 days, not knowing where you were going. Says the woman who lived wild as a cougar for 6 months. Steve's voice whispered through her mind. She looked back at him, wondering how much attention he was paying to them. Oh look! It's starting. Izzy pointed down the street, to where the first floats were coming into view. Everyone turned and watched as the floats started trailing past. A strong burst of wind blew icy fingers down JV's collar, sending a shiver through her. "You cold?" Steve's voice whispered through her mind. "A little." "Come here, bring your blanket." He took her thick fleece from her and wrapped it around his own back. "Now stand in front of me, facing out." She moved to stand as he'd instructed, and he wrapped his arms around her, folding them both into the blanket. She realized he was sharing his body heat with her. "Better?" "Much." She snuggled back against him, enjoying the secure feeling of him surrounding her as she continued to watch the cars and trailers strung with hundreds of tiny lights trail past.